Welcome to the SalesSLAP podcast, where we hit you with the hard truths, bold strategies, and expert insights you need to master the art of selling. And who's leading the charge? Meet your hosts, Rick Denley, Simon Hares, and Scott Donald. Get ready for real talk, expert advice, and game-changing strategies. Because in sales, you don't just play, you slap. Let's dive in.
And welcome everyone to the SalesSLAP podcast. And we already introduced our host, but I thought a Lego version of your host would be rather fun since everybody's all about the Lego recently, including Simon's post. So we're going to have a bit of fun with that and your host today.
Look how handsome I look as Lego.
Don't you look good? I thought
do.
that you'd appreciate that. So very
now you are a non-Lego virgin, and you've had your 60th birthday, and you've been given Lego for your 60th.
I was
birthday.
given. My wife gave me Lego. My wife wants me to be more like Simon, so she gave me Lego for my birthday.
Simon loves putting the punch into the 60. We're here today, and we're excited to welcome our guest, Todd Caponi. Todd, welcome to the show, buddy. The guy who cracked the code on how humans really make decisions, and then wrote 3 award-winning books so the rest of us could stop guessing. From transparency to negotiation to leadership that actually works, Todd brings a perfect mix of science, storytelling, and don't use this for evil humor. I can't wait to have this conversation with you. Todd, welcome to the show, my friend.
And guys, I wish I was the one that cracked the code on how we make decisions. I've got books from the 1600s that actually I stole all of these concepts from.
Well, the people aren't alive then from those books that wrote them, so nobody's.
That doesn't make accessories now that we know too, does it?
Well, yeah, it's funny because I was joking with Brett Adams about the Challenger sale. That one of my books here, it's called Certain Success. It's from 1920, and it's the Challenger sale. Like, there are no new ideas. It's just finding a lot of these things and bringing them back to life.
We're just reworking them and modernizing them a little bit, aren't we?
It's just like their trousers, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's there really is so little that's new, and that I think is such an interesting conversation point too. That we talk about like everything's changed and the buyers know more nowadays. I will tell you just on that point.
I love this.
He's going to the library again.
1910. This is a book called Salesmanship Theory and Practice from Thomas Herbert Russell. 1910. So 116 years ago. What 4 words are you going to find? Buyers know more nowadays.
Oh, jeez.
116 years ago, they were worried about the rise of mail order catalogs. So I've got a 1908 Sears Roebuck catalog. It's 1,400 pages. Amazing. It's basically like Amazon in printed form. And they were like, why would we need salespeople for anymore? Buyers know everything.
So what's old is new again, isn't it? What's old is new again. We love your museum that you've got behind you. You were describing before we jumped on our podcast here about it, which we appreciate. So much information. So tell us, where are you located with that great museum?
I'm just northwest of Chicago. It is not yet open to the public. It is just my office, but I will warn anybody that it does smell a little bit like the far corners of your grandmother's basement. If it was as hot as it is in Simon's office right now, it would be a little bit gamey. So
Simon, good day, my good friend. What's going on there? Is it a little bit warm in the UK?
Honestly, I feel like Vanna White, seriously, with dollar bills. I mean, seriously.
While Simon fans himself, I'm going there after the earlier comment. A little bit of green room humor there for you.
Nope.
I misphrased that earlier.
I think you did.
Simon was all over it, let's just say. Todd, I got
being blown by a fan, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said, and I kind of opened the door for that one.
Silly Ricky.
Hey, Rick, get
not
control
many
of
people
this.
throw me off my game, Todd, but these two,
getting hot in here.
on a regular basis, these two throw me off. And you know what? I just roll with it. Todd, you're quoted as saying, I often joke that my nerdery knows no bounds. Right now, my focus has been on rethinking traditional negotiating. Now, before we jump down that, I know we're going to talk a bit about this and your books. Simon had that book, and Simon wanted to ask you a question regarding the negotiation a bit. Didn't you, Simon, or am I just putting you on the spot?
No, not at all. Not at all. When you think about those 4 levers of negotiation, and it really is, you know, it's such a modern take. I mean, I know you said that nothing is real, so I'm assuming you wrote this out of all those old books that you've got. But when we think about some of the great negotiation books that are out there, and the 2 that spring to mind, I love Patrick Tinney's Unlocking Yes. I love Voss's Never Split the Difference. What I love about this is I love these levers, and I'm really intrigued to know, you know, when you think about those 4 levers that you have there, and they are this concept of volume and how much people are buying, this concept of the timing of cash, when you're going to pay, the length of the deal, and also getting someone to buy when the time is right for them, that magical moment. Of those 4, which is the one that you go to the most?
Well, so to give everybody a little background, if they're not familiar with what Simon's referring to, little background on the negotiation concept. And again, like Voss's Never Split the Difference, fantastic. I've got a collection of, you know, 1970s books on negotiating. I can tell you a little history about that if you're interested. But growing up in sales, I always thought it was weird that I needed a different personality to negotiate than I did to sell. Like, I don't know if you all feel that, but this idea that sales was supposed to be about helping customers achieve optimal outcomes and building trust, building relationships. We get them right to the goal line. Customer says, yes, I want to buy from you. And then what do? Well, I was at least taught that subconsciously to say, all right, I'm going to start lying to you now. Not going to tell you what a good deal is. You've got to figure that out. And I'm going to use techniques on you that I learned from former FBI hostage negotiators.
Yeah.
What? Like that always seemed weird to me. I am the worst liar in the world. And I had, it was a while ago, I'd gotten promoted to be SVP of sales. I had a rep that got approval from a customer where the customer says, yes, we're ready to go with you, but we got to work on that price. My rep calls me in. I fly down to Houston, get in the room, and they brought the whole procurement team there ready to kick my butt. Like, there was literally a woman by the door that I think was drooling. Like, she was just like, let's go, right? Like, she was ready. And I was terrible at it. And I accidentally kind of threw my cards face up on the table. And so what Simon's referring to is the 4 levers, which are the 4 things that drive every for-profit company in the world. They're also the 4 things that do and should drive your pricing. And they are, as Simon mentioned, volume. So you want customers to commit to more stuff, not less. So volume's how much you buy. Product, services, technology, bowling balls, whatever. Number 2 is the timing of cash, or how fast you pay. You would prefer customers pay you faster, not slower. Who knew? Number 3 is the length of commitment. You want customers to commit longer, not shorter. And number 4 is the timing of the deal, or deal predictability, meaning there's value in your organization's ability to predict. If a customer will help you with that, that might be something you're willing to pay them for in the form of a concession. And so what I had done in that room is I said, hey, these are the 4 things that drive our pricing model. They immediately came back and said, interesting, fascinating, who cares? We need 35% off. And I looked at them, had a human conversation about it, meaning like, why 35%? Why didn't you ask for 80 or 20 or whatever? But then I said, hey, remember those 4 things? Maybe we can go through those one at a time and see if we can get you a little closer. Commit to more stuff, more volume, pay us faster, commit longer, help us forecast. And suddenly, no more drooling, no more us versus them. There's no more techniques, tactics, word art, hostage negotiating approaches. And we collaborated and came to an agreement. They ended up paying us for all 3 years of the deal up front. They helped us forecast. We paid them in the form of a discount for those 2 things. Walked out as friends. They used it for their renewals, their upsells, when they bought more, when those individuals went to other companies. And I was like, wait, that was so easy. That felt good. It created consistency.
Yeah.
And I've got to start building on that. And so I spent the last 18 years working on that. That's the new book, 4 Levers Negotiating. So very long way of getting back to your answer, Simon. I believe it's not up to you to decide. You put the 4 cards out for the customer, they decide what's important to them. If it's, hey, we can commit to more stuff, cool. Or, hey, maybe we're buying too much stuff if we can't afford this. Just like if you go to the grocery store, you'd never fill your cart, go to the cashier and be like, I have a budget issue. I'm going to need 20% off. They'd be like, buy 20% less, you jackass, right? Like, and so it's up to the customer to decide which of the 4 is the most important to them. You give the cards to them, and basically negotiation becomes an extension of the sales process instead of a completely new personality.
I think, if I may, I think that's really interesting because there's a couple things that I wrote down here, and I think this ties in nicely. That you mentioned that we kind of change personalities at the negotiating stage, and I would add, I think we change personalities when we put a sales hat on. A period. I feel like that there's almost like a chameleon. It's like, oh, here's Scott when he's with family and friends, and oh, here's Scott when he's in his sick. And I've never understood that, and I think this is why. When I went through your about section, I pulled out some terms that I figured you spent some time on the about section. So I thought, you talked about human beings. You talked about using the knowledge for good, not evil. I think Rick mentioned that. Mm-hmm. You talked about behavioral science and sales history nerd, and you've already demonstrated that. So thank you. But I think what I really jumped in on is this, and you kind of just talked about it, is being human beings, using knowledge for good. Why is that important to you, and why should it be important for other organizations that are so fixated on tips and tricks and the latest thing? And you're saying actually it goes more fundamental to just being a good human being and using that knowledge for good and helping the customer.
Well, yeah, I think, first of all, going back to that 1910 quote, buyers know more nowadays. And they were worried that, hey, what would we need salespeople for? And that sales potentially would go away. Well, what happened? The sales profession flourished, right? It grew.
Yeah.
You fast forward to just 11 years ago. So 2015, Forrester put out their state of sales report where they said that by 2020, 1 million B2B sales jobs would just go away and hundreds of thousands of college students wouldn't graduate into the profession. Why? Because buyers knew more nowadays. The rise of e-commerce, this idea that what would we need salespeople for? They can go on, do all their own research. And we're hearing that again with AI.
Yeah.
I would argue this, that the reason that the profession has flourished every single time with every threat is this idea that more information available to buyers has never made it easier on them. It's always made it harder, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And so if we go back to my favorite sales book of all time, I think is it's 1911. It's a guy named Arthur Sheldon wrote The Art of Selling. He's got a quote in there that I just love. And the quote is, true salesmanship is the science of service. Grasp that thought firmly and never let go. All right. So the science of service. What is service? It is doing the homework for the buyer, right? The pros, the cons, the risks, the rewards, being a guide and an aid to the customer instead of a plaid jack wearing gold chain wearing, hey, I'm a salesperson. So to your point, the profession in its best, 1905 to about 1918 was truly a service profession where we were there to be a guide and aid. And when we did that, all ships rise. So
I love that, Todd. I want to share with you, and people probably know this little experiment that was done at a high-end department store where they wanted to see how they could sell more colognes or perfumes. And they put out a beautiful table out front with some very attractive people to sell it and such. And for several days, they put out two perfumes on the table, and that was all. And they simply mentioned to the people, we've narrowed it down to the 2 best that we think you would like. And what they found was that the people would decide between the 2. Then they ran the experiment with 6. They didn't sell any. When there was too much on the table, when the salespeople hadn't done their homework and narrowed it down for them, they weren't able to sell a lot. People just couldn't make up their minds. They may have had more information, they may have had more choices, but it didn't work out very well for them. So I want to ask you a question along this that we've started here. You mentioned in the 4 levers of negotiation, you break down how transparency and behavioral science can transform negotiation outcomes. How should modern leaders, I'm always looking for how the leaders can benefit. So how should modern leaders apply those same principles inside their teams, especially when navigating tough conversations, misalignment, or internal negotiations around priorities? How should leaders be helping that out?
Well, there's so much there. So my second book was The Transparent Sales Leader, right? And it was this idea that, first of all, we've got salespeople that are promoted into sales leadership and they're never trained how to do it, right? Like they're never taught what being a leader is, how to maximize the revenue capacity of their teams. And so that book is foundationally a framework, but it's on this bed of transparency. But I've got a whole section in that book on what I call the science of intrinsic inspiration. And it's this idea that we as human beings, we're driven by essentially 6 things. I'm too dumb, so I made it alliterative. I call it the praise model. But there's 6 things that drive us to show up every day, to stay, to do our best, and advocate for our organization. And I'll rattle off praise real quick for you. But the 6 things that drive us is we as humans do our best work when there's predictability. So that's the P, meaning when we go to bed at night, we know what we're getting ourselves into the next day.
Okay.
The sales leader, revenue leader, our job is to help our team predict, right? Create certainty, create consistency, because inconsistency drives us crazy. The R, recognition, meaning we do our best work when we're recognized for our efforts, status, feedback, that sort of thing. The A is aim, meaning we do our best work when the aim of our work is something bigger than just hitting our quota, right? Like when our work matters, when there's an impact, there's a mission.
Purpose.
The I is independence. Like we do our best work when we're trusted to do our best work with minimal oversight. The S, security. Like we do our best work when we feel safe, when we're part of a team or a pack, when somebody's got our back. And then the E is equitability, meaning we do our best work when things feel fair. Like I'm getting the same treatment as others doing the same type of work, pay, all the other elements of the praise model. So I think that revenue leaders have got a really important role to play in terms of that transparency element, which is, hey, here's what we know. Here's the good going on. Here's the things we're uncertain about. Here's how we're thinking about it.
Right.
Helping your team predict at all times.
Yeah, those are great. Thank you. And I just want to summarize that is leadership. That should be, even if leaders just said, okay, I'm going to work on these and I'm going to become better at those and provide those for my people on my team, leaders would be well along the road to becoming a great leader. It's not simple in a way, isn't it?
Well, the best companies I've ever been a part of are the ones that have optimized the praise. Yeah. Right. And
so if nothing else, leaders, focus on what Todd just shared with you.
I'm going to build on that if I may. So 2 things, Todd. I really thought the I was going to be for ice cream. You might want to give that some consideration in the praise model. But you hit on something that I think is that I'm just getting a better understanding of myself. So in one of your recent posts, you talked about as a salesperson, you had a framework, you had a game plan. I call it the X's and O's. But you said as a sales leader, and you touched on this earlier, there wasn't, you said, is not a, and it immediately felt like I was a dog chasing a car down the street every day with no idea what I was chasing other than a number. And, the praise model, I guess, is part of it, but why is it important for organizations to have a game plan or a framework to guide their efforts as opposed to, I think we all see organizations working really, really hard without that framework that you had as a salesperson. Why is it equally, if not more important, to have that framework or that methodology as a leader?
Well, yeah. So that goes back to that core framework that I talk about. I call it the 5 F's of maximizing revenue capacity. And it essentially, if you look at any revenue leadership role, whether it's sales, client success, even marketing, business development, all of your responsibilities as a revenue leader fall into one of 5 buckets. And as revenue leaders, though, to your point, so often we get stuck in only one of those 5 F's. And so the 5 are, the first one's focus, meaning we as a revenue leader, we got to make sure that our team is using their most valuable asset, which is their time.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, focused on the right opportunities, the right firmographics, right demographics, right prerequisites. So focus. And then number 2 is you build your field organization, the team that takes the field, to support that focus. So the right people in the right places with the right experiences, the right tools, and the right resources. Number 3, fundamentals, meaning now I've got the field, I need to make sure that that team gets the fundamentals right. So prospecting, qualification, discovery, negotiating, presenting, demoing, whatever. Number 4 is where so many of us get stuck in our little silo of revenue leadership, which is the forecast, which is predicting the future, the metrics, the KPIs. And then number 5 is where ice cream comes in. That's fun. And that's where praise falls in, right? Like creating an environment where discretionary effort is put in at a maximum level that people can't wait to get at it.
Yeah.
And so if we take a step back and go, all right, those are the 5. Now for everybody listening, throw those on a whiteboard, create a 30, 60, 90-day plan in the next 20 minutes. Like literally you could do it. Now you're seeing all the holes before they form. You can be proactive instead of reactive. And then the best thing for me was it made me sound really smart. Like I could use all the help I could get. But like that's the long answer there is when we get stuck in forecast, well, let's look at a macro level and go, these are the things that actually contribute to it.
Yeah.
If we see all of those every day, how can we help but be really successful when we see the whole instead of the silo?
Yeah, it's like measuring leading KPIs as opposed to just the end game.
Exactly.
And looking back at the month before. What are the things that get us there? And make sure that you've got those in place. And I love you keep putting this thought into it that it has to be fun, has to be enjoyable, has to be in alignment, and much more than just chasing a number, which you mentioned, as Scott did, is like a dog chasing a car trying to catch it.
And
Simon, do you have anything else here for Todd? Because I'm going to move into another segment very quickly. But Simon,
Are you?
Right. Well, I am.
Well, I'm fascinated by all of these mnemonics that you've created. It's stimulating so many questions in me, and I'm already adding other F's.
And you're already writing them down, all of them.
I do have a little bit of an aversion to the word fun, because it just feels lots of people say, oh, it's fun. And it's I think that's one of the most bland words that's out there. And it links sometimes where people sometimes start describing their team as a family, which means I run the other way. I think there's an element where when you say you put all of those F's together and you create that plan, that's part of a future-proofing strategy to help to protect yourself and your competitive advantage. So I see a bit of that in there as well. But I think just taking it a little back to where we started within the negotiation side, I have a question for you, which I ask all of my delegates. And I have an answer for this, but Todd, I'm really keen to know what your answer is on this. Where do you think negotiation starts?
Well, the analogy that I often make is, when I'm teaching this, I always ask everybody like, hey, who's run a marathon before? And there's always a couple of people that raise their hand. And I'm like, all right. So like, did you wake up on a Sunday morning and you're just like, I could use a little, I'm going to go for a run. Wait,
absolutely.
There's a marathon going on. People tell me those are great. And I just have new shoes.
Those are fun.
Scott does that all the time, every Sunday.
I'm going to go run this thing. Like you'd be dead by the 10th kilometer, right? Like, so it is an
kilometer.
Event. Yeah, maybe the 5th. So like at least your toenails will be popping off. So, it's an event, like it happens. There's kind of like but it's a process that starts so early. And so I've just always been like, there's a quote from one of these books, 1927. And I hate the quote because it says, never share the price until the customer thinks it's more. And I'm like, what year is it? Like, stop it. The term sticker shock has never been associated with anything good in the history of humankind. So I've always been an advocate for like the negotiation starts at the beginning. Your cards, those 4 levers, are your 4 levers to your economic buyer, the admin at the front desk, the person that gets coffee for the ad. So why not go, hey, listen, before we get started, our pricing model and our price based on our understanding of your environment is probably going to be between X and Y. And if that's way off of what you're thinking, let's talk about that now versus later. And it's driven by how much you buy, how fast you pay, how long you commit, and mutual alignment around timing. If you're talking about a 6-figure solution to a 4-figure buyer or vice versa, one of you's in the wrong conversation. Do you want to know that now or later? That should happen in the first conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. And that's qualifying as well, right?
Exactly.
Up front, isn't it?
Win fast,
do that qualifying.
lose fast.
Yeah, lose early.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get it out of the way. You're doing yourself and your client, potential client, a huge benefit by doing so.
Exactly.
Great question, Simon. Thank you. What a great answer as well. So, all right, Scooter, guess what? You're up, buddy.
And now it's time for the quick slap segment. Our host Scott asks our guest unrelated questions.
All right, we're gonna
you know what?
this.
I actually realized that last time I actually gave the person the questions ahead of time. So these are coming ready. These are like bang, bang, bang. No thinking. Okay, ready? Dogs or cats?
Go ahead.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay, good. You can stay with us. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Okay. Last concert you attended?
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. God, I haven't been to a concert in years, unfortunately. I did go to Nirvana's last concert in Chicago before.
That's
Kurt
cool.
Cobain died,
Oh,
so,
that's cool.
yeah.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
One thing people are surprised to learn about you.
I'm a closet headbanging music fan.
Oh, okay. I wish I would have known that when I was coming up with some other questions. If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would your career be?
Probably teaching at like a university.
Okay, this is where it gets spicy. Taylor Swift or Fall Out Boy?
Oh gosh, I wish I could choose neither, but I'll go Fall Out Boy because we went to a high school that's pretty close.
On
that's why. So that's why Taylor Swift or Styx.
Styx.
Taylor Swift or Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Taylor Swift versus whoever. I pick whoever.
Okay. Favorite movie you've watched more than 3 times?
Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Lever 1 volume or lever 2 timing of cash, if you had to pick one.
Number 1, you want people to buy more stuff. Volume.
Okay. Besides your own best sales book of all time.
The Art of Selling, Arthur Sheldon, 1911.
1911. Okay, you are a sales history nerd. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Ultimate absorption of information, like full recall.
Sponge, big ass sponge.
Okay, and so this you can't pick either one of us or any of the 3 of us, but if you could have dinner with anyone today, living or dead, who would it be?
Taylor Swift.
Apparently not. Apparently
not Taylor Swift. Gosh, I have no idea.
Who's a mentor or a hero to you?
Maybe.
Gosh, I mean, living or dead. I would love to connect with Arthur Sheldon. Actually, I have a picture of him hanging up in my wall. So Arthur Sheldon.
Last song, and this is an important one because now we're going to judge what would be your go-to karaoke song.
The song "Wood" by Alice in Chains.
Oh, I'm gonna Google that. Okay, and there we go, and we're done.
All right, thank you. Woo! That was amazing. Very good sharing. I'm actually convinced more than ever that he's actually in his grandmother's basement right now, hidden away in that musty corner, and I know that smell. So it's been great having you on the show. I was going to ask where people can get your books, but it's right there as well, correct?
Yeah, anywhere you get your books in all formats. I narrated the first 2, and then for 4 Levers of Negotiating, publisher wanted somebody else to do it. I don't know why, but so we got somebody else reading for number 4, but you can get it anywhere, all formats.
Okay. All right. That's great. And people can connect with you on your website as well as LinkedIn, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, that is fabulous for us. Thank you. And you know what? I would love to do Ricky's recap, but there's way too much information that you shared today. So I'm just going to tell people, just hit rewind, go back and watch it again and again and again, like I'm going to, and take some more notes. The only thing that I will do, I'll just share this one portion here, is that don't be a bad copy of someone else. Be the best version of your authentic self. That's what I heard a lot today too, whether it be negotiating or anywhere else in the sales cycle. But I do want to jump back to something right now. And Simon, I know, is ready to go. So let's see about that. Bloody hell. What's Simon reading? That's what I want to know, Simon. What are you reading right now?
Todd, I think you said earlier about the job you'd be doing. Wouldn't it be museum curator?
Yeah. Now, I'm not that boring.
Oh, come on. Because those people are like sponges, aren't they?
That's like Simon, so you just whacked him, boy.
So.
Simon, what are you reading?
So this week, I am dipping back into an old favorite book of mine right now. We've mentioned Todd's books, and I'm looking at some things around leadership right now and sales leadership. And I'm currently dipping into L. David Marquette's book, Leadership is Language, the Hidden Power of What You Say and What You Don't Say. This is a terrific book, and anyone who's familiar with David Marquette will have looked at his books and videos on YouTube of Turn Your Ship Around, that amazing concept of intentional based leadership. This is all about the framing of the language that you use. And at the moment, we're doing quite a lot of work around leadership and bringing new leaders into the workplace right now. We mentioned just now there's a lot of people who end up in management who aren't necessarily qualified. Well, guess what? That's not their fault. Maybe they're just showing an aptitude for it, and maybe they've got something. Sometimes they don't. But we need to be able to set them up for success. And I believe that the language that's in here is very, very up to date, very modern, fits with today's workforce very well, and into this generation alpha, which will be coming up into the workforce very shortly. This is a cracking read, really, really good, focusing on the things you say and the things you don't.
Well said, Simon, and thank you, given that you're in a cooker of a hot box right now as well. You've made it
real, Vanna.
And Todd, we've really appreciated having you on our show. I know people will be reaching out to you and purchasing your books as well. Thank you. And putting you on the spot here, Scooter, who we got coming up next?
2 weeks from now, we're going to the West Coast and a lady named Lindsay Rios. And Lindsay talks about not having poopy pipelines and what's for dinner. So I'm looking forward. I've known Lindsay sort of through LinkedIn she's a great follow, much like Todd. And looking forward to having her. We've had to work at this one and looking forward to having her on.
Amazing. Thank you.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you, everyone, for being on the show. And to our viewers, thanks for tuning into the SalesSLAP podcast.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you for attending the SalesSLAP podcast. Feel free to reach out to your hosts, Rick, Simon, and Scott, and our guests from this episode for more information. We look forward to seeing you next time.
And that's it. We're through, everyone. Thank you. Have yourself a great weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you for attending the SalesSLAP podcast. Feel free to reach